So if you're a new or a beginner rider, one of the first things you'll probably notice is how expensive it can be to get insured on a bike, especially your first bike. So if you're younger than 25, you're classed as a young rider, and you're probably going to pay a lot of money for your insurance. But here's 9 ways that you can help make your insurance cheaper, and hopefully some of these tips help you. The first and biggest thing you can do to reduce your insurance costs is to buy the right bike. So that doesn't mean you can only ride one bike or anything like that, but any bike that's more expensive, more powerful especially, or just more desirable generally, is going to be a lot more expensive to insure. So for example, I'm riding the CBF 125 at the minute. The CBR 125 is the same CC, still 125, but just a little bit sportier looking, and I think it can do like 1 mile an hour quicker or something like that. Anyway, my insurance on that bike would have been hundreds more, and that's not an exaggeration, than this bike. So just by buying something that looks a little bit cooler and a little bit faster, you're going to spend a lot more money. So before you buy your bike, try and run some insurance quotes and see what that's going to cost you. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. This is going to make the biggest difference probably. Another thing to do is to choose the right level of coverage. So you can usually get 3 types of coverage. There'll be third party only, third party with fire and theft, and fully comprehensive. So you can look into what each of those mean, but pretty much third party only is the lowest level of coverage and will be the cheaper, and fully comp is the highest level of coverage and that will be the most expensive. So it depends on your appetite for risk and what you're happy to pay. So there's no right or wrong answer to this one. Just for example, like with fire and theft, if your bike is not worth that much and it gets stolen, is it really going to be an issue? If it is, then go get theft coverage. If it's not, then maybe just stick with the third-party coverage on its own. So that's another good way to save some money. You don't automatically have to go for the highest coverage. Third way is to invest in good security. So I'm not sure if this only makes a difference if you're covered for theft or if this makes a difference in any event, but pretty much you want to look for sole secured gold when you're buying locks and chains and disc locks and things like that. Sole secured gold is going to be a good level of security for your bike. Usually that will help make your insurance premiums a little bit cheaper, because your bike is less likely to get stolen pretty much. There is a sole secure diamond or platinum I think it's called, but those are usually big heavy chains. You might want those for example if you're locking the bike up at home for a long length of time. Those aren't really practical to carry around. But yeah, definitely sole secure gold at least is what you want, and if you report what locks you have to the insurance and make sure that you always use them, you're going to get hopefully cheaper premiums. Another tip is to consider what extras you're going to need. Things like breakdown cover, legal cover, personal injury, all of those kinds of things, helmet and levers cover. You can get those on your insurance or you can get them externally if you want them at all. So there's no right or wrong for this. Like if you want your helmet and levers to be covered, you can get helmet and levers cover. If you don't mind, then you don't have to. It's worth looking to see if this is cheaper to get elsewhere. So especially things like breakdown cover. If you have a referral code or discount code or something, then you can sometimes get this a little bit cheaper if you go directly with, for example, like the AA or Green Flag or something like that. So this is more of a long-term solution. It's not something you can do right now, obviously, but to build up your no claims is a massive way to get cheaper insurance. So even if you just have 1 year's no claims, I think I've calculated for my insurance next year will hopefully be around £200 cheaper, just because I will hopefully have that 1 year's no claims. So it makes a huge difference. So one way to do this is obviously to ride safely, ride within your ability level. If you're on a group ride, don't feel pressure to ride like a maniac because everyone else is. Especially as well, if you're riding like today, this isn't rush hour or anything, I'm not less likely to have an accident here than if, for example, if I was commuting to work. So what you use the bike for as well is going to affect your level of risk and your chance of having an accident. But yeah, if you try and build up some no claims, once you get a good few years going, your insurance is going to be very, very cheap. Another good way is to pay it up front. This requires you having a little bit of cash on hand, but when I worked out my insurance, I don't think they're as transparent with the interest rate when you pay monthly, but it was about 30% interest, and it was going to be £150 more expensive just because I was paying monthly for the exact same policy, exact same coverage. Nothing had changed, it was just I was paying monthly, so it works out a lot more expensive to do that. I guess one tip, for example, if you know your insurance is going to be £600 a year, put £50 a month away, and by the time your insurance is up for renewal, you're going to have the money to pay for that. I know this is a lot easier said than done, but it's really, really useful if you can make it work. Another way to save money is to look for discount or referral codes. So if you have a friend who you know is insured with a particular company, ask them if they get a referral code. I got one. If I refer a friend, they get, I think, £25 off or something like that. So it's not huge, but depending on what deal you can find, you might be able to find something where you get a pretty good deal. So discounts or referral codes, especially through work and stuff. So I get breakdown cover discount through work, or if you have a friend who has a code or something, it's worth looking into for sure.
Tip number 8 is to take an advanced riding course. So there's a few of these around. One is Bike Safe, one's ROSPA, and there's one called IAM, Institute of Advanced Motorists. So I'm sure there's plenty more, but those are the 3 that I know of, the 3 biggest ones. So basically taking one of these courses will show that you have advanced riding skills outside of just what you practice on the test. So this will hopefully reduce your insurance premiums because you can prove that, well, you're a more advanced rider than most people because you've taken the course and hopefully gotten certified. So personally, I'm on the wait list for Bike Safe, which is a 24-hour workshop with your local police force. So they basically teach you about local accident statistics and what you can do to avoid them and things like that. So if you take one of these courses and you get your certification, your insurance premiums will hopefully go down by quite a bit. Finally, my 9th tip is to increase your voluntary excess. So essentially what you're doing when you do this is you're absorbing some of the risk of you having to make a claim. So you're pretty much saying, in the event of a claim, I'm willing to pay £100, £200 towards whatever the value of that claim is. So this will hopefully make you less of a risk to the insurer because you're taking on some of that risk yourself. And as a result, this should reduce your insurance premiums. But it's worth double checking because, for example, in my case, it didn't make a difference at all whether I increased my voluntary excess or not. So in that situation, there's no point increasing your excess because you're just volunteering to pay more money and not getting a discount. So hopefully you guys find these tips useful and you can use them to get cheaper renewal or maybe your first insurance policy is cheaper. Let me know in the comments what you guys think and if you have any of your own tips. I know everyone's got their little hacks to get cheaper insurance. So let me know what you think, let me know what kind of videos you want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Safe riding.